The enchanting melody of Sri Krishna's bansuri is not just music. It carries a divine message, a lesson for life. But have you ever wondered how Krishna got his flute? Let me tell you a story that combines wisdom, devotion, and the secret of true spiritual surrender. It is said that when the universe was created, Lord Brahma, the creator, wanted to fill it with harmony and joy. To achieve this, he crafted the first flute out of a bamboo stick. This wasn't just any flute. It was infused with divine energy. Brahma gifted this flute to Lord Shiva, who is often regarded as the greatest musician and the master of all arts. Shiva played the flute high in the mountains, and its melody resonated through the cosmos, spreading peace and tranquility. But Shiva knew that this flute had a higher purpose. He understood that Krishna, as the supreme being, was destined to use it as a tool to enchant the world, unite hearts, and spread divine love. So, Shiva passed the flute to Krishna, knowing it would become an integral part of his life and the lives of all those touched by its melody. Another story tells us a different tale, one that reflects Krishna's simple yet profound connection with the natural world. One day, while grazing his cows in the lush forests of Vrindavan, Krishna stumbled upon a piece of bamboo lying on the ground. He picked it up, intrigued by its hollow structure. Inspired, he carved holes into the bamboo and created his own flute. As he blew into it, the sound that emerged was magical, sweet, pure, and divine. That simple bamboo stick became the celestial bansuri, an instrument that would mesmerize not just humans, but also animals, birds, and nature itself. From that moment on, the flute became Krishna's constant companion. Wherever Krishna went, his flute went with him. The melody of his flute wasn't just music. It was a divine call that touched the hearts of everyone who heard it. The gopis of Vrindavan would leave their homes and chores, enchanted by its sound. The cows would stop grazing, and even the rivers seemed to pause their flow, captivated by Krishna's music. One day, the gopis, overwhelmed by the magic of Krishna's flute, asked him, "Why do you love your flute so much? What makes it so special that you never part with it?" Krishna smiled and replied, "The flute is hollow from within. It has no ego, no desires, no sense of self. Because it is empty, my breath flows through it, and it becomes an instrument of divine music." Similarly, only when your heart is free of ego and filled with devotion can the divine flow through you and create something beautiful. This simple yet profound reply contains the essence of spiritual wisdom. Krishna's love for his flute wasn't just about the music. It was about what the flute symbolized. The flute's emptiness is a metaphor for surrender and humility. It teaches us that only when we let go of our ego, our fears, and our desires, can we become a channel for something greater than ourselves. The bansuri is also a reminder of the joy that comes from being close to the divine. Just as the flute produces beautiful music when Krishna plays it, our lives can become harmonious and fulfilling when we allow the divine to work through us. But for this to happen, we must first become like the flute, hollow and open. Krishna's flute also carries a universal message of unity and love. Its melody didn't discriminate. It touched everyone equally, whether it was a gopi, a cow, or a tree. Similarly, Krishna's message is that divine love is universal and knows no boundaries. It is available to all, but to truly experience it, we must cultivate humility and devotion in our hearts. There's another lesson hidden in this story: the power of simplicity. Krishna's flute was made from a simple bamboo stick, something ordinary and unremarkable. Yet, in Krishna's hands, it became extraordinary. This teaches us that greatness doesn't come from being special or extraordinary. It comes from being in harmony with the divine. Even the simplest among us can become instruments of divine grace if we surrender ourselves completely. So, what can we learn from the story of Krishna's flute? The first lesson is to let go of our ego. The flute produces music only because it is empty inside. Similarly, we need to empty ourselves of pride, selfishness, and negativity to allow divine grace to flow through us. The second lesson is about surrender. The flute doesn't resist. It simply allows Krishna's breath to flow through it. In the same way, we must trust the divine and surrender to its will, knowing that it will guide us toward harmony and fulfillment. And finally, the flute teaches us the importance of devotion. Krishna's flute became an instrument of divine music because it was in his hands. When we dedicate ourselves to the divine, our lives too can become instruments of love, joy, and peace. In today's world, where stress, ego, and material desires often dominate our lives, the story of Krishna's flute reminds us of the power of simplicity, humility, and surrender. It encourages us to ask ourselves, are we ready to become like Krishna's flute? Are we willing to let go of our ego and trust the divine to guide us? When we become like the flute, hollow, humble, and open, we discover a profound truth, that the divine is always with us, ready to fill our lives with its melody. All we need to do is allow it to flow through us. So, take a moment to reflect. What's holding you back from becoming like Krishna's flute? Is it your ego, your fears, or your attachments? Whatever it is, remember that letting go doesn't mean losing yourself. It means making space for the divine to work its magic. Krishna's flute may be a simple instrument, but its story carries a timeless wisdom that can transform our lives. Let us all strive to become like the flute, empty, open, and ready to be filled with the music of the divine. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's all learn and grow together, inspired by Krishna's eternal wisdom.